No, 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 no.
Tigers. Fight Tigers, fight Tigers, fight. Mike, it's not even a top 1,000 moment all time.
Okay, Tommy, shut the hell up, man.
Mike! Oh, of course I'm gonna go with the right answer. It's Ryan Eads of the Baltimore Orioles. He's only wore the number 80 for 8 games. He's only one of 2 players.
You know what? No, I'm not going to take this. Welcome back to Go Chat. We are back with episode 118. It's just me and Mike here. It's a little two-man podcast right now. It's looking different, obviously, on the screen for you guys. But Mike, I'm glad you could join me here today on this fine Friday for us, Saturday for the viewers. If you're new here, smash that subscribe button, follow us along on Instagram, all our platforms, and get ready for a great episode. We got NFL, the divisional round was wild, and we'll recap that. And then the conference round that we have coming up tomorrow is going to be even better. As we start this, we start with the go to the state. We're at New Jersey, a little small armpit state behind New York, We'll count MetLife Stadium's teams. So that is the Jets and the Giants as part of New Jersey, since they play in New Jersey. Gives us more give us more teams, more options, obviously, here today, Mike. We got the Devils, Jets, and Giants. Who are you going to pick out of those 3 teams?
I first off, I do have to say that it's complete garbage that the Jets and the Giants are located so far into New Jersey. They're located like an hour and a half away from most people from New York. So it's quite the interesting decision. Maybe they'll move back to New York at some point in their franchise history. But I'm not going with either football team, a player from either football team. I'm going with a player from the New Jersey Devils. And that is PK Subban. And I understand that over the past 1 to 2 years, he has not been good. He's been one of the most overpaid players in the league, but he still gets it done offensively a bit. And we could throw it back to his days before he came to New Jersey. He was awesome in Montreal, winning a Norris Trophy there, getting on the all-rookie team. He's a 3-time All-Star. And then he went to Nashville, and he still played pretty well. So I think PK Subban is the most complete player out of all the options we have. And frankly, it's not very much because both the Jets and the Giants stink. And really the only other option on the Devils was Dougie Hamilton. So it's got to be PK Subban for me. He's been there longer than Dougie, and so far he's had a better career.
That's a good pick. PK has struggled a little on New Jersey.
Yeah.
That's why I strayed away from him. And I have to go to one of the sorry football teams, which it's not that huge of a guy, but I'm going to go with Leonard Williams. He started his career on the Jets, then went to the Giants, so he really didn't move anywhere. And he's had a pretty good career so far. I mean, this past year, he got his most combo tackles in his career. He's actually not the most solo tackles, but the most combo and assist tackles for the New York Giants squad on their defensive line. He's always been a good player, a good anchor for the Giants, especially against the run. Someone that they could look up to instead of down at, like Daniel Jones. But no, I not a lot of good options, Mike. Not a lot of good options. Maybe Connor would have different insight. If he was
I mean, CJ Mosley is a good player as well. I think him and Leonard Williams are kind of comparable. CJ Mosley does have 3 more Pro Bowls, but he did that in Baltimore. But yeah, not too many great options here. I mean, there are some good players. Leonard Williams is still a good player. CJ Mosley's a good player. James Bradbury is a good player, and the Devils have some promising young talent like Jack Hughes and Jesper Bratt. But right now, just none of them stack up to some of the other major states we've had.
Come back 10 years from now, and maybe we'll have a better pick here today.
On Go Chat episode 872.
Definitely gonna be more than that. I think it's time for New York, the Jets, to stay New Jersey, change their name to New Jersey Nets, or Mets, No, Jets.
Jets.
And then and then the Giants moved to New York. I don't like the two teams in one stadium. Not a
I
fan of
mean,
that.
I don't mind it, but like I'd rather have the stadium be in New York. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know where they would put it, but there's 100% some place that they could put it. You know what I mean? So somewhere closer to the city. I know that's very tough given like how much parking and all that stuff you need, but there's no reason why it should be in the Meadowlands. It's ludicrous. They sell out the stadium, but it's stupid.
All right, that's gonna be all for the go of New Jersey. Next episode is gonna be go to New York. I think that's a really good one. Hopefully we can get Tommy on that one because you know who he's just gonna go with.
Of
And it's
course.
probably one that he's really looking forward to. Stick around for some football talk with Mike and I coming up next on Go Chat. Welcome back to Go Chat. We are back. Like I said, a huge divisional round playoff games that we saw. We saw four amazing games on Saturday and Sunday, including one with Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen just trading scores back and forth. Mike, I want to hear your initial thoughts about the four games and maybe which one stuck out the most to you.
I think this was one of the best rounds of playoff football we have ever seen. It was probably the best round of playoff football I've ever seen personally. To start off that Tennessee Cincinnati game, that was a real interesting game as well because it seemed like the Titans had it going down to the wire, but Ryan Tannehill just an awful game from him. Blew that game for the Titans, and the Bengals were able to pick him off at midfield. And Joe Burrow makes one throw to Jamar Chase, and all they have to do is throw Evan McPherson out there, and he's automatic in the playoffs so far. And they advanced to the AFC Championship. That game was awesome. The Packers 49ers game, that was an interesting game. I don't know if you want to delve too deep into that, but it was kind of a boring game. A lot of defense, a lot of sloppy play offensively from both sides, and just not a great game. And then the Sunday slate was phenomenal. Brady almost mounted another huge comeback, 27-3. He almost did it. Every single thing was going his way, whether it was a fumble or an interception. Brady he legitimately has some voodoo magic, and he was almost able to pull it off until Matt Stafford and Cooper Kupp tied the game up and pretty much clinched a trip to the NFC Championship game. But I mean, the Bucs were just outmatched in that one, and I don't want to talk too much. I mean, we can since it's only us two now. But that Josh Allen Patrick Mahomes game, Chiefs Bills, awesome. One of the best football games I've ever seen. That last 5 minutes was some of the best football I've ever seen. Obviously not defensively, but offensively, it was absolutely phenomenal. One of the most entertaining games. I wish the Bills advanced, but they just weren't able to get it done. And they made some questionable decisions when it comes to defense and special teams. But before we could get into that, what are some of your thoughts?
It was a wild weekend. It was the best weekend I've ever seen games wise. I wouldn't say it was my favorite weekend. Big Sunday was a fine day. But I mean, no, that Sunday slate of games was wild. I think the Bucs defense really came up clutch throughout the whole game. I mean, a lot of people say like, Tom Brady, he comes back from these really huge deficits, which, he takes a part in that, obviously playing on the offense, but the Rams were just turning the ball over. I mean, an unlucky Brady fumbled the ball. Yeah, Brady fumbled the ball, I think. And then they threw it over Stafford's head, wasn't it? Yeah, I think so, because Brady fumbled it. And then they threw it over Stafford's head, and the Bucs got it. So, I mean, it was a ton of unlucky plays from the Rams offense, and the Bucs defense really came up clutch, and Tom Brady almost did it again. That would be on his resume. And now even he's thinking about retiring, which is pretty wild, because he never really thinks about that. It's usually just a decision that I'm back. So that was a wild game. The Bills, Chiefs. I really thought the Bills would be able to pull it off. I mean, after Gabriel Davis got the touchdown, his like third touchdown of the day. I mean, I texted go to the week Josh Allen. Connor texted go of the week Gabriel Davis. I think sorry Bills fans, I think we jinxed it right there. And then there's 13 seconds left, and that's all Patrick Mahomes needed to get the job done. I do think Patrick Mahomes is great, but I do think part of the defense is falling on the Bills because there's a ton of wide open players. You could just throw it to Tyreek Hill, and Tyreek Hill would just get down the field like 15 yards.
That's literally what happened. It was just a slant across the middle, and Tyreek Hill was fast enough to get to just behind the midfield line with some blockers ahead of him. It was just very poor defense by the Bills. And then on that last play, they rushed 4 instead of just rushing 3 and throwing 2 on Kelsey. And Kelsey was able to find a soft spot in the coverage. And that's all she wrote for regulation. And one thing that really confused me, why did they kick the ball off into the end zone? Why didn't they squib kick it, or at least kick it to like their fullback or something like that? Take some time off the clock. If they do that, I think it's pretty much guaranteed that they win the game. The Chiefs were lucky to have timeouts at their disposal, but even if you take 4 or 5 seconds off that clock, I don't know if you get into field goal range. I really don't. And I think you're looking at a Hail Mary and the Bills move on to the AFC Championship game. But even in overtime, the Bills were getting absolutely shredded. I know there was a lot of discourse about the overtime rules. Personally, I'd like to see them change. I like to see the offenses get a chance, each get a chance to score the ball, but they did not lose the game because of a coin toss. They did not. They lost that game because they were unable to play defense when it mattered most. And because their special teams decision-making was not up to par. They did not lose that game because of a coin toss. It was because of their defense and special teams. And everyone else making excuses about the coin, you're a fool. What do you think about that?
No, I think the NFL needs to change the rules, but the rules are the rules right now, and I wouldn't be blaming the coin toss at all.
Exactly.
The defense did not come up clutch at all. And that's something you picked the Bills because Mike, because you said their defense is better than the Chiefs, which they let you down.
Big time.
I mean, Leslie Frazier is getting on these head coaching. I would hesitate on that, getting him as a head coach. I do think he's a good coach. I think he was a head coach at one point, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I forgot which. I think it was Minnesota. He was a head coach for Minnesota.
That might be it. He's a good coach. I don't know if I would, out of all the coaching options, I don't know if I would sign him.
Yeah, I think there's some better options out there. I think with Dan Quinn off the market, he's one of the better defensive minds out there. But I think it's so interesting because defenses can be so up and down on a year-to-year basis. Like offenses are much more consistent compared to defenses, which is why you see a lot of teams that have these elite defenses fall off. We could throw it back to the Saxonville defense or the 2018 Bears defense. Those defenses really carried their teams, but they have had trouble competing on a year-to-year consistent basis because that's just the art and the nature of defenses. And the Bills were just not able to get it done. If you told me that the Bills were going to score 36 points in regulation, I'd say, yeah, book their tickets to the conference championship game. They beat the Chiefs by 10. That's not what happened. And the defense is to blame.
Yeah. I think this is definitely going to spark a conversation on the overtime rules in the commissioners
Office.
In the commissioners meetings. I've seen the Packers lose 2 heartbreaks in overtime, so I wouldn't be against that overtime decision.
Yeah, I think the big thing is just player safety. I think they just want to get the game over with. But I don't know. I don't think it's gonna get changed. Obviously, it could. You never know what could happen in the NFL, but I don't think it's gonna get changed. But you did just talk about the Packers. Obviously, as a Packers fan, give us your thoughts on that game and what to expect moving forward for Green Bay.
I don't understand really what happened. I mean, that offense scored the first drive, and then all of the rest of the drives didn't score at all. I mean, they got a field goal. They had a blocked field goal. Now, don't get me wrong. This might be the worst special teams game I've ever seen in my life. Like, don't get me wrong, but I do think that the offense and Aaron Rodgers is to blame for that loss too. Um, I think Aaron Rodgers tries to play hero ball. He tries to find Devontae Adams 50 yards down the field
Yeah.
instead of throwing a 20-yarder, 15-yarder to Allen Lazard down the middle. I mean, think about this. Think about how great the offense was this year. I mean, Aaron Rodgers was throwing to MVS, but he wasn't playing this week. He was throwing to Randall Cobb, Allen Lazard, Juwan Winfrey too, if he was playing. When he was playing against the Cardinals, he was throwing to him, DeGuara, those guys. This game, I'm pretty sure there's one throw that was targeted other than Adams and Aaron Jones. One throw.
Cobb had one target.
I think that was it. It was either Cobb or Lazard, and
I know Cobb had one target, but
it was ridiculous.
I don't understand why he was eyeballing Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones so much. Obviously, Aaron Jones had that one big free play down the field, but they came out on offense looking like an absolute juggernaut. They just totally just shredded the 49ers defense, and they weren't able to get a lick the rest of the game. And I think
it's so sad that Jimmy Garoppolo had his first completion with like 3 minutes left in the first half.
Yeah, that 49ers roster is so talented. And once Trey Lance comes into his own, if he does, that team's going to be very scary. With that coaching staff, with that just absolute raw talent on that roster, I mean, Shanahan gets the best out of his players. And even though they only put up 13 points in total, not even from the offense, just in total, they got the job done, I guess. But bringing it back to Rodgers, he definitely did not play well, and he needs to look at his other receivers more. I think it's just because maybe he didn't trust them, but like you said, no one else got a single target outside of Cobb, Jones, and Adams.
Mercedes Lewis did, but he dropped it. That's when everything fell down.
Oh yeah. But Cobb didn't even catch his one target, right? Like I thought Cobb was gonna have a decent role in the game plan coming into this game because MVS was out. I thought Lazard was gonna get some role too, but he was just I think it was because the 49ers were able to pressure a lot. It's similar to what happened in the wild card weekend with the Cowboys and the 49ers. The 49ers defensive line is so good that they are able to get pressure with only 4 rushes and drop 7 into coverage. So when you're getting pressured every play and you have to throw against 7 backers consistently, it's really hard. It really is hard. And I think that's why you saw 2 of the top offenses in the league struggle immensely against the 49ers. So rough go for Green Bay. The defense played phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal.
And Lazard did have a catch. Now that I remember, it was like a 6-yard catch. But everything fell down.
It's just flat out not enough. Especially like you could throw it back to I think when they lost to Seattle in the conference championship in Seattle, Rodgers was like, "Yeah, we got to get one of these back in Lambeau." And over the past however many years, they haven't been good in Lambeau in the playoffs. They've been like 500, which is flat out embarrassing. So, I mean, obviously it's rough for you. I feel bad for you. I'm happy to see Aaron Rodgers and the Packers out of the playoffs. But that's my 2 cents on the Packers, and we'll see where the 49ers go from here.
I think Lambeau Field just hurts the Packers because they've been such a passing game team, a heavily passing team, that I just think like the cold hurts them. And that's I think like they say, like, oh my gosh, it's a home game for the Packers. It's in Lambeau, it's going through Lambeau Field. I think it just hurts them at the end of the day, and that's really what we've seen from their record since Aaron Rodgers has been at the helm as quarterback. Kyle Shanahan, like I said, I'm not going to take too long on this, but Kyle Shanahan, like I said last episode, much better coach than LaFleur, and you really saw that. I think LaFleur is a good coach, maybe a coach of the year candidate, since I think it's a seasoned award, but I think he's got to take a couple more years to get to the Super Bowl, maybe a few. And for Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, I do think it's time for a reboot. You're not going to hear this from a lot of Packers fans. God forbid, I really want Rodgers on the team next year because that's my favorite player and that's my heart. I do want Adams and Rodgers, but if they both leave, I'm totally fine with that. I'm totally just rebooting because you got to reboot soon because this defense is very young and very good. So, and there's a lot of guys with expiring contracts that we don't know where they'll be next year, if they'll stay with a pay cut like Rasul Douglas said he would, or they'll be gone. Maybe like Devondre Campbell, Zadarius Smith could be gone. He posted thank you, Green Bay. So this team's going to look a lot different, I think, next year. And I don't think it might not be with their quarterback number 12 on the roster.
Yeah, especially considering their offensive coordinator, Nathaniel Hackett, was just hired for the Denver head coaching job. And I think Denver, honestly, if I had to choose where Aaron Rodgers is next year, I think it will be with the Denver Broncos. Adams could join him there. Who knows? But they already have a real good receiving core. And Rodgers has sung the praises of Nathaniel Hackett. He's called him one of the best coaches he's ever had, consistently in press conferences and in the Pat McAfee show. So I think if Denver does make a move for Aaron Rodgers, they instantly become Super Bowl contenders. And I'd be hard pressed to find a team other than Denver that's better. Like honestly, that roster outside of their quarterback position is really good. There's not many weaknesses. I guess you could say the offensive line, but you look at their skill positions, you look at their defense, they are awesome. And that's something to look at moving forward.
I think it's either the Broncos, he stays, or it's the Steelers. It's Steelers are on the last of my list because I don't think they have the capital really to throw to the Packers. When you're thinking about trading, Broncos, obviously it's looking more like that because Hackett was signed there. But I too think he might stay with the Packers. And I think that might be his best situation still. If they find a way to keep would tag Adams, obviously, fix up Rodgers' contract and tell him, it will fix your contract up and maybe somehow do the same thing next year, like where they could trade him if he wants, or to sign up players, his homies back. So I think those are his options there.
A couple other teams that I think are interesting. I don't think Pittsburgh's going to make a big move for a quarterback. I just don't think that's the type of franchise they are. They're more of a draft and develop. I think they're going to roll with either someone that they draft or Mason Rudolph next year. There were some reports saying that they're going to roll with Mason Rudolph. I think that's a massive mistake. If I'm them, I'd make a move at a quarterback. But I think two teams that are very intriguing. Number one, the Cleveland Browns. Obviously, I picked them to make the Super Bowl this year, mainly based on how good their roster was. I thought Baker Mayfield was going to be good enough. Obviously, he was nowhere close to being good enough, but I think the Browns can make a move for either Rodgers or Wilson, and they become Super Bowl contenders. Or if Tom Brady retires, does Tampa make a move for Rodgers?
I saw this. I don't think they have the capital to do it. It's interesting.
But I don't think the Packers want to deal Rodgers
in the NFC, no,
to Tampa as well. I think they'd want to deal him to somewhere in the AFC. But that would be very interesting to see Rodgers in Tampa. I think that would be cool to see. I don't know. But yeah.
It would be interesting. We'll have to wait and see. A decision will be made pretty soon, to be honest. when you're thinking about how quick days go by. So we'll see, and we'll have more reports later. We got a great conference championship weekend, Mike. Two great games. I think these games are really anyone's games. We'll start with the first one. These are going to count as GOAT picks. We got Connor's picks in the chat. I don't think we have Tommy's, but Tommy's in last anyway.
Yeah.
So we got the first game is obviously Patrick Mahomes is hosting Joe Burrow and the Cinderella team over in Cincinnati. Who do you think is going to win this game?
I have the Chiefs. It's really not a question for me. Honestly, I think they might win by like 10. Like no disrespect to the Bengals and Burrow. They've played well this playoffs. They've won 2 hard-fought games, but they beat the Chiefs at home in week 17, but I just don't think there's much of a chance for them in Arrowhead. We saw how good that offense is in Kansas City. I just the defense. I think they'll do enough to get home against Joe Burrow. We saw him get sacked 9 times last week, tied a franchise record. I think that was due in part to the offensive line, but Joe Burrow was holding the ball for a long time. I think he'll fix some of that this week. He'll get sacked less, but I still think the Chiefs win this pretty handedly.
And I gotta make it. I've been actually going back and forth with this game. I do think that we've seen the Chiefs and how they've played. Is Tyrann Mathieu gonna play?
I'm not sure. I could look that up right now. Give me a second.
We've seen how this Chiefs team has played, and obviously they've played very well as of late, scoring 42 points in their last 2 games. I'm gonna take. Okay, honestly, like if someone came in the door right now and they had a Nerf gun, let's say a Nerf gun in this case, they had a Nerf gun pointed to my head, and they're like, you have to bet on a team to win, and if that team wins, your life is saved. Easily, I'd put it on the Chiefs, no doubt. I'm going to take the Bengals though here. We've seen a lot of quarterbacks in their second year. Don't call me crazy. We've seen a lot of quarterbacks in their second year get the job done and make it to the Super Bowl. Tom Brady, Ben Roethlisberger, Dan Marino actually did it his second year. Russell Wilson, Colin Kaepernick, spot the imposter there. Colin Kaepernick made it to the Super Bowl his second year. And I think Joe Burrow is the guy to do that next. And he's going up against the top dog. Tom Brady went up against the top dog, Peyton Manning. Russell Wilson went up with top dog, Drew Brees. Also Peyton Manning in the Super Bowl. But that wasn't really Peyton Manning, to be honest. Colin Kaepernick went up against the top dog and I actually didn't look that up, but Ben Roethlisberger went up against top dog, Peyton Manning. I think if someone had to do the job, it's Joe Burrow. And I think that this offense is explosive. I understand the eyes, Mike. I honestly do. Like, this would be, in my opinion, this is like an easy pick.
Yeah, no, I mean,
but I feel like the way the playoffs have gone, we're about to see like a huge twist. And I could be wrong, and I could be getting the upset on the wrong game, because I do think the 49ers can also win. I just have this really weird feeling in my gut. It could be totally wrong. I don't really care at this point. Go Picks is like in January, early January.
Yeah. I mean, talking about Go Picks, Connor went 0-4 last week. I went 4-0. You went 3-1, so we're all tied in first. I know you love Joe Burrow and the Bengals, Joe Shiesty, but I'm just so tired of all the love. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a real good quarterback, but so many people are hyping him up to like top 5 quarterback in the league, and I think
he's close to top 5. He's like 6 or 7, Mike.
No, come on. I think he's right around like the 10 range.
No, he's definitely higher.
Dude, I cannot buy in after one year of really good production. I understand he played really well this year, but a lot of his passes where just slants taken to the house from Jamar Chase. I understand so many teams have that, right? But he was just so weirdly uber efficient, and I don't think that's sustainable. Like, he led the league in both completion percentage and yards per attempt. Those two things usually do not go together. And if he continues this, obviously, then I'll have to buy in. But I don't think he's going to be able to continue to throw for 8.9 yards per attempt. He's been great this year, but I just don't think he's that good yet. I want to see more of a consistent production. I can't put him over guys like Stafford or Dak Prescott or Kyler Murray right now because they've just done it for longer. They've just done it for longer than Joe Burrow. You know what I mean?
I would kind of Kyler Murray. I don't really know.
Kyler, I
Kyler,
guess.
I would put him over Kyler. I would hesitate with Dak and Stafford. I think Joe Burrow is he's not that flashy guy. I feel like he's that game manager. He's that guy that you want in the clutch.
Yeah.
And I think he's got great weapons around him. I'm not gonna lie on that. But he's just putting up really great passer ratings as of late, especially too. And really just been coming up so clutch for the Bengals and huge wins that they've had. That's a different conversation for a different day though. Rams 49ers. Rams are 0-2 against the 49ers this year.
I
It's
know.
in SoFi, but that really doesn't mean much. Who are you going to go with? This is a really tough pick.
It's so hard because not only are the Rams 0-2 against the 49ers this year, Shanahan is 6-0 against McVay in their whole careers, right? So this is just it's kind of like a matchup makes fights. This is kind of like a boxing match, almost, that the 49ers match up really well against the Rams in what they do well. So it's very tough to choose, and obviously it's very difficult to beat a team 3 times in a singular year, which is why I'm going to go with the Rams. I think the Rams feel really good coming off that win against Tampa. Von Miller was all over the place. He had the most pressures. He had the second most pressures in a playoff game, I think, ever. So I got to go with the Rams here. I'm just trusting the better quarterback, not necessarily the more talented team, but they do have one of the best players in the NFL, and Aaron Donald. Shanahan does kind of have McVay's number, but I think McVay gets it done this time, and we're going to see another home Super Bowl in back-to-back years. That's my prediction.
This is also a really tough game.
This is very difficult.
Stafford threw 2 picks in both games against the 49ers. But I mean, the Rams got off to a really hot start last time they played in week 18, and I think they're going to do the same, but keep it. They've struggled to keep leads. We've seen it. A lot of awful turnovers. We talked about Tampa's a little. I think they keep this lead and finally get to another Super Bowl with McVay and Stafford, and quite possibly win it. Another home Super Bowl, which it's wild because we never saw that.
Yeah, the fact that we never saw it, then we could possibly get back-to-back is insane.
Ridiculous. It's ridiculous. That's going to be all for NFL talk. We're going to head into, we got Go Picks. We have 2 games for Go Picks, college basketball. Then we're going to head into a little quick go to the week as we end this episode. Welcome back to Go Chat. We are back with Go Picks. We haven't done an episode with Go Picks in a while. We only have 2 picks since we did the NFL games. Both college basketball, starting with number 5, Kansas, hosting number 12, Kentucky, Saturday at 6 p.m. Let's see. Connor goes first usually. He picked Kansas. I'm going to go with Kansas too. Mike, you're next.
I'm going with Kansas as well. Their guard, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but Ochai Agbaji, he's averaging over 20 points per game. He's been really good this year. I totally butchered that name, but he's my pick.
All right, and then the next game we have number 6 Purdue going up against number 16 Ohio State. This is Sunday at noon. kind of surprised that Connor picked Purdue because he's an Ohio State lover over there. I'm gonna go with Purdue. It's a much more complete team. I don't trust Ohio State. I feel like they go on a lot of streaks. So I'm gonna go with Purdue. Like I said, much more complete team that they got over there in Indiana.
Yeah, I'm going with Purdue as well. They've been really good all year, and Ohio State has looked like the best team in the nation and looked like one of the worst. So I think I just gotta go with Purdue at home. And Tommy's gonna love this. The ESPN matchup predictor has Purdue with an 84.8% chance of winning. So I have a feeling he's gonna go with Purdue as well.
Yeah. You never know. College basketball's been so weird this year. Connor picked
It
Chiefs.
has.
Connor picked Chiefs Rams for football. I picked Bengals Rams. Mike picked Chiefs Rams as well. Don't have Tommy's picks yet, but that's all for Go Picks. Three-way tie. We'll have to see who comes out with the lead here. Right after this, we'll be
I
going.
I think Connor and I all picked the same.
Yeah, it's only a matter
Yeah.
if my picks are all right, I take the lead. Or
Mhm.
else it's a tie somehow between you two. We got Go to the Week coming up next. Stay tuned for that, and then we'll wrap up the episode. Welcome back to Go Chat. We are back with the Go of the Week. Last week, Mike ended up winning with Josh Allen.
Let's go.
The same day that the voting was the game too, which is kind of funny that Josh Allen beat out Patrick Mahomes and Go to the Week. Not so much on the football fields, but like we talked about, defense fault there. We're gonna go with all hockey here today. It's the two of us. So we're gonna make you guys. I don't know if hockey players ever really won, so we're gonna make you guys choose a hockey player to win with a whopping probably like 5 votes. But hey, we're doing this on Go Chat. People are probably gonna be complaining that they don't see an NFL face because of that past weekend, but it's okay. Mike, you won last week, so I'm going to give you the floor.
Well, I'm very glad we're doing some hockey because this is going to be the only chance a hockey player will get to win Go of the Week. But I got to go to my favorite team, the Florida Panthers, and I'm picking Alexander Barkov. Alexander Barkov, he was hurt for a couple games this year, but other than that, he's been absolutely phenomenal. He had 4 points this week, and most notably, Thursday night against the Vegas Golden Knights at home, he tallied his 200th NHL goal, his 500th NHL point. The 200 goals is the most in Florida Panthers franchise history. He's just a legend in the making in Florida, and that Florida team is looking awesome. They just tied the NHL record for most victories through their first 25 home games for the season. So got to be Alexander Barkov. I guarantee you 96% of the population does not know who he is, but got to roll with my man Barky.
All right, good pick. I'm going to have to side with the assistant captain on the Calgary, or alternate captain, whatever you want to call it, on the Calgary Flames. Matthew Tkachuk, not only does he have the GOAT name, first name, but he has been playing absolutely fantastic this past week, notably the game against St. Louis, which I think was on Monday, where he tallied 5 assists, which is a whopping 5 points, something that is really hard to do in the NHL. Even in 19 minutes and 10 seconds of ice time for the Calgary Flames is absolutely phenomenal. And then 2 days after that, they played Columbus. He got 2 goals, 2 points there on 19 minutes and 17 seconds of total ice time. Phenomenal week from Matthew, and I think he needs to be crowned the Go to the Week. I think it's going to be our first hockey one. I don't think there's another hockey player that won, but we have done a ton
I'm
of
trying
those.
to think if Vasilevsky won when the Lightning won. I don't think he
Zegras
did.
was close. That was the closest lately.
Dude, well, we could have even picked Zegras this week.
Yeah, he had a great
just
goal.
he just had that Michigan goal. Oh my! I can't believe he pulled off in a game. I think him and Andrei Svechnikov are the only two to do it in an NHL game. I mean, he's He's crazy.
It's not easy. I tried it in NHL 22. It's hard to do even in a video game.
It's very hard. And I remember back in high school, he had this. So we had a face off in the offensive zone. We were playing this other high school named Lakeland. He was taking the draw and he tipped the puck between the other centerman's legs, toe dragged around the defender, faked going left against and this was on like the left circle, fake going left, went right. The goalie slid, but then he went in between the legs, bar down. One of the best goals that I've ever seen. He's at every single level. He's dominated, and it's just really cool to think about where he is now. He's in the running for the Calder. It's really cool.
A lot of great hockey picks this week. Joe Pavelski had a very good week. Sidney Crosby, Kel McCarr, inserted some more ice in his veins. They got a game-winning goal for us on Go Picks.
Helped us out, yeah.
Yeah, 3-way tie with Connor. That's gonna be all for me here this episode. Mike, anything else?
Thank you guys for watching. As always, if you aren't subscribed and you made it the whole video somehow, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. It helps us out with the YouTube algorithm, all that stuff. But thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you on episode 119.